who's going to have a look at our new finalists.
Cheers, guys. And yeah, to echo those sentiments, that series was really convincing, and you guys have really shown up. First one to you, Perks. We all love you. But how was that series from your perspective? Because it was a little crazy from some of those games, but then you guys really cleanly closed it out.
Well, I think game one, we had a plan going into the game with the draft and everything went out the plan. And then game two, I think we kind of fucked up the draft a bit and they got some power picks, like really good picks, and they had like Nidalee with Zcom, which is like super good early game, so I with Ryze could not pressure at all. And after that game, I would say we adapted really good for the series and changed and banned their Alistar and Nidalee, and they had a lot less pressure early game, and yeah, I think we showed up today.
That's actually very interesting. You talk about picks and bans as well. So talking about how Feathervin actually picked like a Z blind pick into you, and then you picked the Ryze as well, which I know you've been very vocal about being a very strong pick. So how was that in the mid lane specifically?
Well, I personally think Ryze wins the 1v1, but Z is good with like Move Rush, and then Ryze cannot kill him. And Z is good if you have like AP damage in the team, like Maokai top or Nidalee jungler or something. So they had Nidalee jungler, so they had heavy AP jungler, and they played really good like early game. So I could not go silent versus him because they had a lot of vision and pressure, and yeah, there was some unlucky early game mistakes. So I couldn't do anything that game.
Well, it was tough, but in the end you won out. Over to you now, Kickers. Looking at the top lane matchup up against Gamsu, there was a lot of back and forth because it was like one game you just destroy him, next game he'd get like a solo kill. So what happened in that top lane?
Well, it just like, as much as people think, like in this meta, you cannot get like 1v1 kills top lane, or it's only farming, there's only tanks. Like you still have champions like Jungle that I played 2 times, and I shot like beak on him. Like he has out of lane pressure, and with Gamsu like making some mistakes, I could abuse him and then like get like solo kill or whatever. And then second game, like I was Poppy, I don't know, it was just a prank, you know. I thought enemy bot lane will come to me, and he started finding me. I just started running, and then he killed me. But yeah, I think Gams is a really good player, so it wasn't easy facing him. But I think I played pretty good.
For sure, and now with Echo coming into the top lane, how has that changed like the dynamics in terms of one, picks and bans, and also playing it, because he's a very different champion compared to like the generic types like Poppy and Nautilus?
I think like a lot of people seem to think that Echo is like top tier top laner. He's like the top laner to go to, like he's #1. But I think differently. Like he's still really good, but he's like maybe top 3, top 4. And it's just about that he's really good in skirmishes. But like in normal team fights or like in engages, like he doesn't have the best engage. So for example, like if you have Maokai top lane, you can just flash W on AD carry or mid laner. With Echo, it's pretty hard to do that, but he has out of side lane pressure, and if the fights are like messy, chaotic, or it's out of skirmishes, he's really strong.
That's actually really interesting. So very cool to see how Echo will evolve over the next couple of weeks. And now over to you, Perks. We heard earlier how you're a guitar player and you've performed in front of people. Now you're going to Rotterdam and you're going to be performing in front of thousands of people. So what does it mean to you going to Rotterdam and playing in the finals?
I'm really excited going to Rotterdam and playing on such a big stage for the first time ever. It's going to be a really good experience, and I'm going even more confident now into the finals than I was going into the semifinals.
That's really cool to hear. And final one to you, Kickers. And going all the way back when you quit the Unicorns of Love just before playoffs, and now you've surpassed the Unicorns of Love, and now G2 are going to the finals. So what drew you towards Gamers 2, and how did you see the potential of actually getting right here, right now?
I mean, when I joined G2, like Perks and Glenn hybrid were in the team. And I knew they are really strong players, and they're gonna develop really well, even though like they didn't have much competitive experience, at least on the LCS stage. I knew they are really good players, and they're gonna make it big. And like after we qualified, we had to make some research changes to actually like be one of the contenders, and we got 2 really good players. So like the team turned out really good. Like, I think we are really strong and we have really good communication, and even though like some people might think we only go for the kills or we are inconsistent or whatever, like I think that's past us. Like we were like this like some time ago, but we really improved, and I'm really looking forward to facing Origin in finals.
Lots of improvement.
Same.
And you have made it big. So congratulations, guys, on the win and also going to Rotterdam. Thank you also for the interview as well. We're going to send it now over to the analyst desk to take a look at that series.
Thank you so much, Pulse. Your hair looks amazing today, by the way. There, Kiki's. Perks there and Kiki's both a fantastic series on their hands. What is the general thought that you walk away from? Maybe Amazing first, because this is the team that you're going to have to beat for that Spring
Are
Championship.
you scared, Amazing?
Yeah, extremely scared. No, I think it's actually going to be an interesting series that we're going to have, because I think that G2 actually, I think the drafts were kind of weird, but I do think that they're strong individual players and everything. So I do fear for our early game, but overall I do think we're going to make it.
You fear for your early game against H2K, though. You in those first 2 games yesterday did something that you weren't able to do versus them in the regular split and got really far ahead early. Why do you think you wouldn't be able to do that versus G2?
Because G2 plays more to the lanes, per se, because I think the Thresh pick came out like 3 times in a row or 4 times in a row. So this is one of those champions that is basically like centered around laning phase, and they have the Kalista coming in against the Sivir. So overall, G2 just plays more lane focused, which is something we may struggle against, but I have no clue. So I'm just going to see how it goes.
G2 pod lane plays really lane picks, like Kalista Fresh, Lucian Fresh, and we know that Myth is more like teamfight player, Braum, Alistar, and Thresh can have a lot of pressure if played properly.
Yeah, I think we saw that throughout the entire season. Also, G2 then uses that for like early group spike, you know, use the Fate's Call for some engages overall. And it's why we saw the kind of the Thresh steal in the last series from Fnatic, which is,
Yeah, it was interesting.
it was, I like that we were really using interesting in a lot of these.
No, but
I'll just call it straight up bad. Like the logic is that you steal it away because as Vander pointed out, most supports play like these four picks, but I mean, Hybrid is a good player. He can play Janna, and then they traded Thresh.
Basically, everyone can play Janna.
Yeah, true. I can even play Janna. So
Yeah, Janna is very good.
Thresh, yeah, thank you. They traded Thresh for Kindred Echo. I mean, in terms of pick like equality, that is such a major mismatch.
Yeah, overall, what did you make of the pick and ban strategy of G2 if you look at it as a series as a whole, and if you put it against what you guys bring to the table? Amazing.
I mean, honestly, like if Fnatic stuck to what they had planned for Game 3 and they would have continued with that trend, I think they would have had a really good shot at winning the series, you know. But due to them being influenced so heavily by losing a match with their favorite champions, the pick ban became really scared. They had too much respect for their opponents. Instead of just like playing to their own strengths, they try to play to the opponent's potential weaknesses, which is and take away their strengths, which is something you shouldn't do. You should just stick to your strengths and know how you can win the game. Unless like a pick is really that dominant that you have to pick it away. And I don't think the Thresh was like something that you had to pick away, especially for Kindred.
I think just Nautilus pick didn't really work out for Klai in the Game 3, and
You needed comfort.
you could see he was scared and I think not comfortable, and Daylor made sure he will get this trash. But I don't think it's worth if you give Echo and Cred away for it.
I mean, if you just look at the left side team comp, it is something we saw in like week 9 of the LCS. You know, 1-3-1 with Sivir, both side lanes. You know, have push prio. It just happened so that G2 is a team that is more willing to go all in on lane matchups because they pick Janna Kalista. It's one of the few lanes that can actually kind of murder Thresh Sivir in lane, and unless Sivir can get the AFK push going on 24/7, in my opinion. So G2, yeah, they're just willing to pick strong lanes, and Fnatic, yeah, Thresh first pick, it's just not really excusable for me.
However, though, I thought that maybe they would be able to overcome it through some of the things that they have shown versus Vitality in punishing it in team fighting prowess. What, in the end, was their downfall? Was it the decision making and pulling the trigger when they shouldn't?
Fnatic really played hard on side lanes. They tried to catch Perks as Ryze a lot of times. Like Lissandra has a good lockdown, then you have Graves to put in a lot of damage, but they failed 2 or 3 times, and then whole G2 collapsed, and they lost basically teamfight because when Lissandra doesn't have ultimate, she's much weaker than Ryze, who has much lower cooldowns, right?
I mean, that was the big difference. Like in this series, in the series versus Vitality, it was Vitality overreaching and everyone stepping in and then hitting that sick like 3-man ulti, 3-man claw, 3-man Q, 3-man W. Right now, if he's moving in and uses all these spells to try and catch Perks, if he doesn't die right there, then G2 turn around the fight.
Yep. And G2, of course, we're talking a lot about what Fnatic dropped the ball here, but G2 doing what they do well, team fighting like they well to a T actually in those 3 games. And we also had to crown an MVP in the fight to the Spring Finals. G2 made it, and Hybrid stood out amongst his team in today's series against Fnatic. It was quite the discussion. Here on the desk, we had some voices going for Kikis, but in the end, we tallied it up for Hybrid because of that KDA, Crepo.
Oh, please do we have
No,
KD
no,
on the
definitely
graphic?
not.
Okay,
No, no.
thanks.
I'm kidding, but there were, of course, very...
And what's per minute?
I think he showed this series that he's more versatile as a support player. Maybe you can say it's because of experience he has. he played a bit longer in the split than Clay. He also played Challenger Series before, so there are a lot of target bans on support, and he showed that he has wider champion pool.
He definitely forced Fnatic to be very ban heavy towards him, and then even first pick the Thresh later on. You were saying KDA Wars minutes. What's a stat you want to see? Amazing. If all these stats are so bad on the screen, what's a stat that you can highlight?
He hit 60% of the.
Amazing on Kindred. That's the stats.
Yeah, exactly. That's the only thing you need. But no, I think like all those low esports stats are kind of overrated. I mean, sure they're nice to look at, but it's honestly like at least like as a player, you notice like things way differently. Like if you watch the games, you don't think out the KDA, you don't think out the participation. What you look at is the overall game impact and the mechanics that they bring to team fights or the decision making they may bring for their team. So I think that what I have to highlight about Hybrid would be something else. It would just be his plays and his ability to basically like keep his carries alive, and it's something that you need to do as a support. Just like Mythy did yesterday in his Braum games. I wouldn't highlight his KDA because he probably died like 5 to 6 times.
Yep.
And no one cares about that either.
But it keeps people alive. You could check their other KDAs.
I think I think he's right here that that's a lot of supports need to be judged on intangibles, but when you step away and you look at the bigger picture, like you can aggregate over a larger sample size with some stats to highlight trends. Stats shouldn't always be used indefinitely, but that's a different discussion.
3 games on Thresh.
3 games.
Good job.
But I do agree that Hybrid does a phenomenal job as a peeling support, and he really understands his place, especially in team fights.
So aside from stats, who is the better support, Hybrid or Mythy, and how will it influence the final? Amazing.
Mythy by far.
Mythy by far. We'll get to that.
How am I supposed to answer that? Like if I can just be honest. Okay, I suppose I can be honest.
Yes.
I think that's a good way to start it. But I do think that Mythy is just overall way more experienced. He's going to be able to play better on a bigger stage, and he honestly, I mean, overall is just a better player.
You said by far?
It's Mythy.
Why? Can you?
It's Mythy.
Yesterday 3 games as Braum, you know.
That's the meme. No, I think Mythy brings just a lot of experience to the table. Like he was a lot of people that watch League of Legends right now never like watched Mythy in season 3 when it was very lane dominant still, and he was probably the best laner, one of the first few supports to actually confidently dodge skill shots forward in lane and then just murder you in a trade.
3 years ago.
Yeah, but like you would try and predict him.
Man.
Yeah, he would predict him backwards. He would walk forward, be in your face like, now I just dodged your skill shot. You're getting wrecked. Then he shifted to a very vision-centric meta where he even managed to carry amazing as a jungle support duo in terms of vision. He nailed that one down, and he's still pretty consistent. He had a bit of a slump, but yeah, I think Mythy's the
I think he's just a really smart player overall.
Yeah. I think Hybrid can get there though. Hybrid is still young, but like Hybrid in maybe a year from now could challenge that.
On the topic of that, you talk so much about experience and how important it is. I don't see G2 actually faltering. They haven't here under the stress, even with that game that they lost. How much of an influence will that big stage be? Also, Hybrid will be in front of his home crowd, the Holland crowd as well. It might all be things that come into play. Do you think they crack under the pressure?
Well, G2 is much less experienced than Origin, of course. And I mean, Origin is probably most experienced team right now in Europe. So I think G2 is more skilled as a team overall. But if if they're gonna play at the level we played yesterday, I think Origin can win.
Yeah, I
Should
mean,
win.
You know, I respect G2 a lot, and I do think that they're going to bring a good performance to the stage. You know, I don't think they're going to falter under the pressure or whatever it is. But and it's going to be up to us to basically make this series a win. Like, it's not going to be like that they give us the win and be like, oh man, it's such a big crowd, we cannot play the game anymore. So it's up to us to take it from them.
I'm definitely looking forward to pick and ban adaptations because I think both teams, considering series went to a reasonable length, 4 game, 5 games, gave away a lot of pick and ban information. There's a lot of picks were just highly valued in certain series. So I'm looking forward to how Nico de Pico and Youngbuck are going to solve that issue.
Yeah. Whatever.
The support buff.
No. Youngbuck is way more experienced. He's the coach of the split, so I don't think we have any chance there. I think.
I wanted to give Youngbuck MVP today, right?
Actually,
we're never doing that again. On that note, let's take a look at the bracket as it is completely filled out. Well, aside from the winners, obviously. So G2 will advance to face Origin in the finals, and then Fnatic will fight for 3rd place and championship points against H2K. We talk so much about that finals, obviously, but those championship points on the line, of course, possible lock-in of 20 more if you get that 3rd place. 70? It's 70.
30 and 50.
Yes, 50 for the 3rd place.
Yeah, 50 for the 3rd place, which you guys know, or H2K as an org knows that in the end of the season can become so important. So let's talk about that then. 3rd place match, who does it go to?
I do think that, I mean, we beat HGK, you know, and they were, so out of my own pride, you know, I'd say that HGK is going to take it. So we're obviously like the better semi-finalists so far. But yeah, I do think that HGK overall just has way more intangibles. They understand the game on a high level, I suppose. I think Fnatic is really basic in how they play the game, and I think that jungle support synergy is basically going to break the necks.
I think Fnatic has a really obvious style. They can play only one way. With Febiven on strong side laner, which on blue side they always blind pick Z, and then they need Nidalee with it. So I'm pretty confident going into the series. I hope, even after yesterday's loss, it was tough for us, but I hope we will stay strong and we will win for the third place.
I think personally the series could surprise still. I think Fnatic has showed they play in one way, but I felt like we saw a weaker H2K than we're used to seeing, with Forgiven kind of being stuck in a lane where I would expect a top laner sometimes. Odo Omne uncharacteristically falling behind was something we haven't really seen that much to that extent, where he was like 75 to 25. So
it was our Steam fault actually this game when we fall behind. He fell behind.
yeah, it's never his own fault. Top laner in this meta never falls behind.
So you can't really say it was Odo Omne who fell behind. We as a team made him behind.
That's correct. But HTK usually was such a good macro team that they would never allow a certain individual player to really get put that far in the dumpster. They managed to recover from that, but it was still quite telling. I think the series might be the series with the most priority in Thresh we've ever seen in our lives here, with all the bans versus Vander on Thresh, and then today the first pick Thresh from Fnatic.
It's first pick Thresh every game. I hope probably you will do it.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. Of course, we're setting up to go over to NA for TSM versus Immortals. So we need a little bit more time, so let's answer some of the tweets. And from @Jibsy sent in, out of LCK, EU, and NA's first seeds, possible first seeds, which team has the best chance of winning MSI? I mean, I think we know the answer, but let's discuss the other possibilities for the theoretical side of things.
I mean, it does depend on whether or not we or G2 gets the first seed, you know?
Let's say it's you.
Okay.
Oh, then we have no chance.
Then no chance. No. I do think that I think LCK is probably going to have the best
like
shot.
Always.
Like as always, no chance against 5 Koreans.
I mean,
you can't go against them.
This isn't...
2 are fine, but more
G2
than that
has
is
2,
over.
We don't want to flame, obviously, or this isn't to instill the whole NAU thing, but let's just look at the metas and the way things are being played. Who would have a good chance to do good?
To get an overview of what NA is going to bring, we need to wait for TSM versus Immortals, because we need to see how their style translates into playoff, best of 5 semifinals. We saw yesterday that Team Liquid, who were looking really strong, completely dropped the ball against CLG, but I don't think CLG is in a strong enough state to challenge internationally that much. And yeah, LCK, we've seen what Smeb did to SOAS at Worlds, so maybe like even if...
I can't remember.
Yeah, I think everyone has a mental block out there.
Just a nightmare.
Never happened.
Rox Tigers are looking to go to MSI, and they will... I'll be surprised if they drop a single map.
That's what we said. I am Katowice last year, I guess, for Rock Tigers, but it was a totally different game back then. Is there any hope for Europe at MSI?
Well, for sure bigger than NA's hope, but it's still Korea is a favorite.
I mean, I actually do think that we're the second strongest region after Korea. Like, I do think that's gonna. So we're gonna have a good shot at least getting top 2 or at least getting some winning seeds in there.
A lot of pundits are actually rating LMS pretty high. I haven't actually got the chance to watch too many games there, but I'm definitely gonna take that part or we're gonna make that part of our research, because definitely worth watching. Because while AU is like, no, I'm better than NA, and NA is like, no, I'm better than you.
LMS is like,
LMS
hold
is
on.
like, hey guys, we actually also play League of Legends, and we were in close proximity to maybe scrim some of these Korean teams.
Yeah, we will see what happens. It'll be very interesting, and be sure to use those sound bites from Amazing if EU doesn't turn up. Next tweet is from @Leon Windorfer. Everyone is talking about the 1-3-1 meta. Is there a real alternative, or is it the best strategy at the moment? I think it's more how can you excel possibly when it comes to the team fights and decision making.
I think 1-3-1 has the advantage that you are farming 3 lanes as a team. You can always play 4-1 with like Azir control mage and then 3 people with him, but then your top lane is catching basically top and bot waves when they are pushed in. You could see, for example, Rox Tigers played Varus Jhin composition when they were group S4 all the time, and Kennen was solo farming both side lanes. So there are alternatives, but I think they are much harder to play and requires more discipline, because if those 4 people get caught when Kennen is not in position, it's really hard. And then you can also play like variations of 1-3-1. You can put like, your bot lane into enemy mage, so it's like 1-1-3. Then when you have like, well, that's what Origin did yesterday when we had LeBlanc on side lane. They put 3 people there, and they had Orianna mid lane.
Yeah, it just depends. If your mid laner is running teleport, then you can put him in side lanes. Some mages don't run. Like, according to the Physio, who summed it up, and I like basically our broadcast team. There's like 3 comps. You have a 1-3-1, you have a 3-1-1, and then you can maybe play a pure 4-1 overall. But like, if you don't play 1-3-1 double teleport, your timing windows are very narrow. So you really have to make that spike work. So when you have that Varus Jhin and you walk up the tower, that's when you need to hit them hard. Because if you don't, yeah, you'll get punished by guys annoying you in the side lanes.
So what haven't we seen Jinna anymore, actually? I know the patch, but...
She's really he. I think it's
He,
he.
yeah.
Hey, man.
It's really it's really easy to punish him. He's kind of slow champion, so when there is a lane swap coming, he's already puts your team really behind. And then farming mid waves, it's much harder with him because Sivir can throw the boomerangs, then farm some waves or rotate to some side lane. He's autoing like a bot under the tower. And then about the official post, I read it, and I really agree with him. So
Smart man.
if someone is wondering about the meta, he can read some official posts.
Right, nice plug there. We didn't, tell you to do that at all. It's really nice. We do have to wrap up because they're ready over in NA, and next week we will be hitting the road and setting up shop in Rotterdam for our spring finals.
Is TSM playing?
Yes, after this.
TSM.
On Saturday, H2K and Fnatic will face off in a best of 5 for 3rd place, and on Sunday it is G2 eSports versus Origin for the title and a ticket to the mid-season invitational. Krappo, don't you think it's funny
H2K win, yes.
that we always say Rotterdam when it's like Rotterdam?
Rotterdam in the Ahoy. Yeah.
In any case, you guys excited to go there? I know for a 3rd place match it is a little less shine, but still going to be great crowd.
Yes, I'm really excited. And
You sound really excited.
I'm really excited going for 3rd place.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch that and actually play the finals myself. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch the finals.
Okay, we're all excited about everything, and I was very excited to have you guys on the desk. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
No problem whatsoever. And of
Same.
course,
Same.
oh, it wasn't over yet because I still had to say that immediately following our coverage on both days next week, we'll also head across the Atlantic to Las Vegas, Nevada for the North American LCS Finals. The action gets underway in the Netherlands next Saturday at 5 p.m. Central European Time, 8 a.m. Pacific. So mark your calendars. For now, though, we're going to go over to North America to watch TSM versus Immortals, and we will see you guys in Rotterdam.
TSM.
Yes.